This course is targeted for photographers who want to learn how to fix common flaws in digital images. It focuses on common editing terms and tools, provides insight into how and when to use what tool, provides an efficient workflow, and shows you some of the techniques to create photo art in a creative manner. The course will include discussions on selective tools used in photography. The software tools covered provide a number of options and capabilities. It is not possible to cover all of the capabilities of the software in this instructional series. The class will focus on the most common and critical tools used for enhancing images. So, a little bit about me. I first took up photography in the late 70s, and I've continued that. I am owner operator of Peter W. Rulon LLC Photography Studios in Hubert, North Carolina. I've been teaching photography, video, drone classes at Coastal Carolina Community College for over 20 years. I've been using Lightroom and Photoshop for an uncounted number of years. Recently, there's been a major shift by Adobe to add more editing options in Lightroom that were exclusively only in Photoshop. I may revert to comfortable choices for Peter because of familiarity.
It's no secret that I'm not very fond of working on the computer. I like to be out there with a camera taking pictures. But the upside is I can sit here in my own home with a mug of coffee in my hand and do whatever I want with my pictures and make them look exactly the way I want. Now, there are two sides to post-production as I see it. You've got processing, which is the very basic tweaking of your original image to get the very best from it. For example, suppose you've been photographing at a wedding. The bride's out in the garden under an overcast sky. Her dress is going to be a bit blue. If she goes indoors under tungsten, it's going to go a bit yellow. If she goes and stands under a tree back in the garden again, it'll go a bit green. Now, the bride isn't going to like her dress changing colour. So you need to adjust white balances. I find it easier to do that in post-production. Also, making sure you don't get a bright one and then a dark one and then a dull one. You can just tweak these little things a bit to make sure your pictures are all nice and consistent. The other thing is image manipulation. This is adding things, taking things away. Now, I'm not really into that particularly. I've only done it once.
I will try and be clear where content reflects my opinion, where the content is factual, and where opinions of others are presented. In the comments below, feel free to contribute ideas to this lecture series. Well, as a good photographer, why do I ever need to use editing software? One, you're human and make mistakes, and sometimes the image source goes away and cannot be revisited and retaken. The situation is such that the camera cannot capture exactly what you want. This one is true for all of us. The camera or operator messed up, and there are limitations to your camera that sometimes just cannot capture images accurately. Photoshop versus Lightroom, sort of changing, evolving, but Photoshop was originally created as a tool for single image editing and has grown into a monster software suite with many functions and capability. Lightroom was created for the main purpose of editing many images captured under similar situations. It's easy to synchronize corrections over a selected series of images. This course is designed to capture the best aspects of both software packages. All editing in Lightroom is non-destructive. The changes are stored in either an external XMP file or in the Lightroom catalog file as a list of adjustments. You can go back anytime and undo and modify these adjustments. This keeps us from using a lot of computer resources when editing. The display image is a thumbnail size image to show the changes caused by your editing, and you do not process the full image until you export it.
For Lightroom is a photography software designed to assist users in managing large quantities of digital images and doing post-production work. Lightroom combines photo management and editing in one interface. And for Photoshop, the way I see it is just a graphic design program. It's used for retouching, it's used for photo editing, can pretty much do everything.
Effective and efficient photo editing requires a workflow process. Let's look at some of the suggested steps to a positive result. First, decide on an image storage file structure for your storage drive. Decide on a file naming protocol. If possible, set up an external backup drive. I use SyncBack Free. Calibrate your monitor. Decide on editing software to use. Decide if you want to do editing or hire someone else. Accept that you over edit most of the time, especially when you start out editing images. So let's begin. I'm going to first pull up the image and look at it. What do I like? What do I dislike? Now we have a plan. Let's do it. So we're going to do your fixes that you thought would work. Then look at the image. Does it look right? Do you have to do something else? Real good piece of advice is put away revised image for a day or two and then bring it back in, and you will find that what you thought was a great edit is not as great. So you may want to take that image that sat for a day or two and you may have to apply more fixes, or you may just start over. So my workflow is first I import all my images into Lightroom. I delete the junk. I fix image lighting issues. I fix any issues with color. I fix any lens issues. I do apply clarity to the image that may be positive or negative. I save that image to a new subfolder so later I can open in Photoshop. Perform spot retouchings. I do that in Photoshop. I just think it's better designed for that. Perform any other enhancements. Save a copy. Do this often and always rename it with a new version number. So it might be Beach Visit version 1, Beach Visit version 2, Beach Visit. At some point in time, you're going to want to crop the image. As a professional photographer, until the client decides what size print they want, I don't crop the images because you can't go back if you've cropped out what you need because it's a different size. And so save again, new name, new folder. I almost always call it Beach Images Final. Windows shortcut keys. These work for all software in Windows, but they will save you a lot of effort. Control A, select all items. Control C, copy selected content into clipboard. Control X, cut selected content into clipboard. Control V, paste your content into your destination. Control Z is undo last operation, and Control Y is redo last operation.
With people suggesting that if you edit your images, it's wrong or bad, especially in the digital era. If you use software like Photoshop, it's all a lie. It's not art anymore. It's not true and pure photography. I hear it a lot from analog shooters specifically. They're kind of suggesting in the era of film we could trust our eyes more. But in February 1990, with the release of Photoshop version 1.0, we suddenly couldn't trust what we saw. But the fact is that editing images has always been a thing. Take the very best image you can in the circumstance in camera, get good at that, and then use the post-processing tools you have and the skills you have there to then elevate that shot. And don't lie about your process if you heavily edit your images. And don't fear telling people that you edit your images. Some people will criticize you, but they're usually elitists of one form or another who have a very specific viewpoint, and that's theirs and you can ignore it. That's how they see the world. Or it's people who are actually intimidated by software like Photoshop that you're good at, and they don't want to touch it. And instead of putting in the hours it's going to take to learn that, it's much easier to sit back, pretend you're better than all that stuff, and throw stones at people like you. You can safely just tune that stuff out. For those of you who choose not to edit your images or just do very light tweaks, that's brilliant, good for you. That's your chosen process. You do you. To edit or not to edit is a choice, and it's not a moral one.